Hi, my name is Stefan Gonick of EFTAlive.com and FindingTheLoveYouWant.com. In this video I'm going to talk about how EFT works and how to do the EFT basic recipe. The basic premise of EFT and energy psychology is that all negative emotions are caused by a disturbance in our body's energy system. Now the energy system I'm talking about here is the same energy system that acupuncturists use. Acupuncturists talk about there being 14 energy pathways in the body, which they call meridians. So the idea is that anytime you're experiencing a negative emotion, whether it's anger or sadness or fear or shame, these negative emotions are going to be caused by a disturbance in one or more of your 14 energy meridians. So how does EFT work then? EFT works by clearing out the disturbances in your meridians, in your energy pathways. When you completely clear out all the disturbance in your energy pathways, you will notice that all your negative emotions go away. So in the simplest case, in the simplest sense, what you do is you intentionally focus on the negative emotions you're having, whether it's from a painful memory or something that's happening today. You will know at that point that there's energy disturbances in your meridians that are activated. And then you'll tap on a set of 10 acupuncture points which are designed to impact all 14 meridians. And as you're tapping on these acupuncture points, this tapping process will gradually release the disturbance in those meridians, in all 14 meridians. And what you'll experience is that the negative emotions you're having, which could start out to be very intense, gradually just drain away until they're completely gone, which can be quite an amazing experience. So, I talked about there being 10 acupuncture points to affect all 14 meridians. The reason why there's only 10 instead of 14 is that some of the acupuncture points are on intersections of 2 meridians, so they're able to impact 2 meridians at once. So we only need 10 to do all 14 meridians. So, what are the 10 tapping points? So let's go over those now. So the first tapping point is on the top of your head. Now the exact location you can find by sticking your thumbs in your ears, being straight up, and then letting your middle fingers meet on the top. Now, in order so that we don't have to do that every time, what we're going to do instead is just pat the top of your head with all 4 fingers. Kind of like, rubbing your tummy and patting your head. Okay, and that way you'll definitely get the point without having to worry about exactly where it is. Now, the way you do the tap in all the points is quick little thunks. So it's pretty quick. It's tap, 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 like that. And you want to do it firm enough that there's little percussion, that there's a little bit of percussion involved, which is why I call them little thunks, but not hard enough that you're going to get tender if you keep tapping there, but also not little feather touches either, just little thunks. So that's the first point of the 10. The second point is at the beginning of your eyebrow, on either side, it doesn't matter. And again, and for all the facial points, what I'm going to recommend you do is to use 2 fingers, so again, you won't need to know or need to worry about exactly where the point is. So at the beginning of the eyebrow, you would tap on it like this. Okay? The next point is on the corner of the eye, and it's on the bony socket right at the corner. It's not back here on the temple in the soft area, it's right on the bony socket, corner of your eye, and it's called the side of the eye point. The next point is below your eye. It's also on the bony socket, and it's right below your pupil. Now people tend to drift out over here into their cheekbone, but it should be right below the eye. So the easy way to do this is use 2 fingers, and have one finger near the slant of your nose, and the other one next to it, and you'll be guaranteed to get the right point. The next point is an easy one. It's called the under the nose point, and it's under your nose, above your lip, right in the middle. So it's right here. Next point is called the chin point, but it's actually below the lip and above the chin in the little valley right in the middle. Okay. Now the next point is called the collarbone point. This one's a little trickier. What you want to do is run your finger along your collarbone until you get to this little U-shaped depression in between the 2 collarbones. The point is actually right on that corner, right where the U depression is. But rather than trying to hunt around for it, again, we're going to use a simpler way of doing it. And I recommend you use a flat fist like this right at the base of your neck, like this. That way you're guaranteed to get one of the points, maybe even both of them. Okay. Some people can also prefer patting with their fingers like this. Exactly how you do these, tap on your points actually doesn't matter that much as long as you get the right location. The next point is called the under the arm point, and it's on the side of your body. Under your arm, it's not in the armpit, it's a few inches below. For a man, it would be level with the nipple. For a woman, it would be in the middle of the bra strap. And you'll tap with all 4 fingers under your arm. So that's the under the arm point. The next point is called the wrist point. It's on the inside of your wrist. If you look at where your hand connects with your wrist, you'll see there's a line there. If you put your 3 fingers right below the line, then the tapping point is at the bottom of your 3 fingers, right where my wristband is. And to tap on that, you can just pat it with the other hand, like this. You can use a flat fist if you want. You can even use your other wrist if you want, so you get both wrists simultaneously. How you tap, again, doesn't really matter. The last point is called the karate chop point. We call it the karate chop point because it's the side of the hand that you would hit if you did a karate chop. So it's right on the side of your hand, and if you look at your palm, not counting the finger, but just the side of your hand, is right in the center. But rather than have to worry about getting exactly the right point again, the simplest way to do it is to just pat with all your fingers, like that. So those are the 10 points. Okay, so now, how do we do the basic recipe? So the way you do the basic recipe is the first step is you come up with a phrase that describes the negative emotion you're having, the negative experience you're having. And what I would recommend for a beginner is to come up with a phrase that includes an emotion and the thing that you're having the emotion about. So you might be angry at a friend for saying something, you know, that they shouldn't have said to another friend, or you might be scared about a test you're taking. So you're going to come up with what's called the problem phrase or reminder phrase, and I'll tell you in a minute why it's called a reminder phrase. So you're going to come up with a short descriptive phrase, and we'll use as an example, afraid of taking the test tomorrow. Okay. So we have our phrase. The next step is to measure on a scale of 0 to 10 how strong the emotion is. So let's say I'm very scared about this test that's coming tomorrow, so I'm going to say it's maybe an 8 out of 10. So the intensity level is at 8. Okay, so now I'm ready to start the tapping process. It's helpful to have to track the intensity by giving it a number like that, so we can track our progress as we're doing the tapping process. Okay. So now, the first step we do in the actual tapping is we do what's called the setup affirmation. The setup affirmation consists of the form, even though problem phrase, I deeply and profoundly accept myself. Or if you want to make it even a little stronger, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. So in this case, it would be, even though I'm afraid about the test tomorrow, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. Okay? Now we're going to say that phrase 3 times while tapping on the karate chop point. So I say, even though I'm really scared about the test tomorrow, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. Now it's really important in this is called the setup affirmation, that you emphasize the second half. Some people will put a lot of emphasis in the first half and kind of fade off in the second half. Even though I'm scared about the test tomorrow, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. So you want to actually put a lot of energy into the second half. Even though I'm really afraid about that test tomorrow, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. So now once we've said that 3 times, we're now going to repeat just the problem phrase by itself, or the reminder phrase by itself, while tapping on each of the 10 points. Now, EFT, like I said, works by focusing on the negative experience you're having while tapping. And it's really important that you stay focused on it and not get distracted and think about other things. That's why we call this the reminder phrase. It's going to help us stay focused on the problem. So what you do is I would tap on the top of my head and say, scared about the test tomorrow. Now the number of times I tap is just however many taps I get in while saying the phrase. You don't actually need very many taps. 4 or 5 taps is sufficient. But I'm not going to bother counting. I'm just going to say the phrase while tapping, and that'll be sufficient. So then I'll just say it again. This next point, afraid of taking the test tomorrow, afraid about 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 taking the test tomorrow. And I go through all 10 points. Okay, so that'd be 1 pass through the 10 points. Then I'd repeat that again and do a second pass through the 10 points again, saying the phrase, afraid about taking the test tomorrow, afraid about taking the test tomorrow. Do a second pass through all the points. Okay. So once I've done the setup affirmation and 2 passes through the 10 points, that is the EFT basic recipe. I like to finish the EFT basic recipe by taking a deep breath. And then what you do next is to reassess how intense the emotion is. So I'll think about taking the test tomorrow, and I'll go, still fairly strong, but not as strong. It's now a 6 out of 10. So it's come down 2 points. Now that's actually would be a typical result if EFT is working well for you, that the intensity of whatever you're tapping on will come down by about 2 points per basic recipe. Okay? So at that point, we would just start over and do another EFT basic recipe, starting from the beginning. Even though I'm scared about taking the test tomorrow, I deeply, profoundly love and accept myself. And we say that phrase 3 times. Now, if you did have an experience where the number came down, we can modify the wording a little bit, and this is optional, where you can modify the wording in a way that acknowledges the progress that's been made. And the way you would do that is by saying, even though I still have some, that's the preface, even though I still have some fear about taking the test tomorrow, I deeply, profoundly love and accept myself. Even though I still have some fear about taking the test tomorrow, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. So we do that 3 times. And then when we tap through the points, I'm going to modify a little bit by just saying remaining in the problem phrase. So remaining fear about taking the test tomorrow. Remaining fear about taking the test tomorrow. Remaining fear about taking the test tomorrow. And I make 2 passes saying it that way. Take a deep breath. Reassess, and now I notice that's a 4. And it came down 2 points. Do another basic EFT basic recipe. It's now a 2. Do another one, and now a 0. And then it can be as simple as that. And then you'll notice that there's no more fear, and you feel nice and calm about taking the test tomorrow. So, this is the EFT basic recipe. Armed with just this amount of understanding of EFT, you're likely to be successful in this application for whatever you're trying to tap on about 40 to 50% of the time, which is not bad actually when you think about it as a brand new technique you're learning. Now, one of the problems that people tend to run into is how to come up with a good tapping phrase. I know when I first learned EFT many years ago, sometimes I get very confused about that myself. So I wrote an article called Picking Effective EFT Tapping Phrases, and you can find that on my articles page on my site, EFTalive.com. And I also have another article called What to Do When EFT Doesn't Seem to Be Working. So this is an article that will help you have an even much higher success rate. So as I said, you start out at about 40 to 50% success rate in EFT working for whatever problem you're trying to apply it to. As you get better with these tapping phrases, your success rate will go up higher. And if you really work with my article, What to Do When EFT Doesn't Seem to Be Working, you can get your success rate higher and higher and higher. At this point, my success rate is about 98%. So it's actually very rare that the EFT doesn't work for whatever it is I'm trying to apply it to, whether it's myself or for one of my clients. So that's the EFT basic recipe. And for more articles, videos, audios, and helpful pointers for EFT, I invite you to visit my site at EFTalive.com, as well as my other site at findingtheloveyouwant.com. Thank you.